Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Downtime with Demille. I hope you guys are having a great day whenever you're watching this video. So I just came home from watching Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the highly anticipated sequel to the 2018 Marvel Studios Black Panther. And I normally do movie reviews like right outside the theater, but with this one I really wanted to just kind of come home, collect my thoughts, think about the movie, and really give you a spoiler-free review of the movie. So this review is not going to contain any spoilers at all. So if you have not seen the movie at the time of this video, don't worry about it. I'm not going to talk about any spoilers. I'm only going to talk about, what I thought about the movie and overall, just things that stood out without going into spoilers. My overall feelings about the movie, just from an emotional standpoint. So, yeah. So this movie, was a movie that if any of you guys know me, I know some people who are watching this are people that follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and you can see over my right shoulder that I really love Black Panther. You can even see it, I bought the most recent movie poster, Wakanda Forever, recently. I mean, people who know me, know that I'm a huge fan. And, this movie, this particular movie, or better yet, the franchise as a whole, really is just something that I've really respected and honored. And, it's just so amazing. The first movie was really powerful, and it was powerful because, man, it just made you feel so good as an African American, as a black man, just seeing how well we were represented in that movie. It was done with class, it was done with respect, and it was done with excellence. And then with the passing of Chadwick Boseman, I remember that day just like it was yesterday. I was literally crying because I don't know, it's just, and I've never cried over a celebrity before, but this was the first time where I actually cried. And his presence, I will say this, as far as let me just go ahead and get right into the spoiler-free review of this movie. So I would say, I said all that to kind of just set up really, how big of a fan I am about this movie and the franchise as a whole, and Black Panther and what it meant to me. So I may be a little bit biased, but I am going to be fair in my review as well. So the first thing that I would say that is important to know that's not a spoiler is that the handling of Chadwick Boseman's / King T'Challa's death is handled exceptionally well. It's handled, I think Ryan Coogler deserves a lot of credit. Kudos to Ryan Coogler. I mean, he really, I can only imagine how difficult it was for them to put together this movie with the passing of their brother. I just know that was something that was really difficult to do, but they really pulled it off. And but it was just, it was so important that the way that his passing was handled, it had to be done just right. And Marvel did an exceptional job with that. A+ on that. You got to talk about the acting, because you got Angela Bassett, Letitia Wright, Danai Gurira, Tenoch Huerta, Lupita Nyong'o. There was some really good acting in here. I'm forgetting the woman who plays Riri Williams. Man, they did such a great job. The acting was, you could definitely say there were some moments in this movie where you had Angela Bassett's Queen Ramonda and Danai Gurira's Okoye. There's this one particular scene that was powerful and surprising, and I did not quite expect that. The acting clearly is top notch, and that's one of the biggest takeaways from the movie, is definitely the acting. You can clearly see they really brought their A game. The actors, well done with the acting. It was exceptional. You really felt like the grief that these actors was portraying was real. It didn't feel fake. It didn't feel artificial. It didn't feel manufactured. You really felt that the grief that was portrayed by Letitia Wright and Angela Bassett and Lupita Nyong'o, you really felt that grief. You really, really did. I forgot to mention Winston Duke. His character, of course, M'Baku. He played a really good role too. There were moments, of course, where he was added a little bit of comic relief here and there, but he did an exceptional job as well. Probably not so as much as, say, Angela Bassett and Letitia Wright, but he still did an exceptional job. He really did. But the grief, you really felt like you got to remember that these actors, they were friends with Chadwick Boseman. So for them, this grief was real, and it felt that way in the movie. And I could really appreciate that. And that's one of the things that really made the movie just feel so powerful. I would say also, in terms of the plot itself, I think the movie felt bigger than the first movie did. It definitely felt like the stakes were higher in this movie than the first movie. Not to say that the stakes were not high in the first one, because they were, but you really get a sense that the stakes, there's some really important stuff going on here. Because you got to remember, if you remember the ending of the movie of the first Black Panther, they're basically opening up Wakanda to the world. So without getting into spoilers, just think about, this powerful country opening up, revealing themselves to the world, and they have all this vibranium and this high technology that no other country in the world has. Just think about the consequences of that. And you can form your own opinion, but I'm not going to talk about what that is, but just take a moment and think about that, and you can kind of see where I'm going with that. The stakes are very, very high in this movie in regards to that. The movie was 2 hours and 40 minutes long. Now, I did not feel like this movie was that long, It almost felt like, and I know Avengers Endgame was a longer movie at about 3 hours. This movie is about 20 hours shy of what Avengers Endgame was. And I felt like there were moments where you could feel the length. Not to say Avengers Endgame was boring or anything like that, exceptional movie, but I felt like you could really feel the length of the movie with Avengers Endgame. I did not really feel it with this one, Maybe that's because I was so engulfed in the movie. On a personal note, I didn't really sleep that well that last night, and I was afraid that I was going to go into the movie and possibly doze off. I've done that in movies before. I'm almost embarrassed to admit that, but I was wide awake in this one. It had my attention from the very beginning. And I'll tell you something else too. The overall tone in the movie is what you could imagine. It is a movie that obviously they're dealing with the death of a major character, and you know who that is. So the overall tone in this movie is very serious. There's lots of grief. There is humor sprinkled here and there. It's not just like a sad movie all the way through. It's not like that. There's some inspiring moments in the movie. There's some powerful moments. There's some moments that I was not expecting. And I may consider doing like a spoiler follow-up review where I talk about moments that really surprised me in this movie that were spoilers, that were surprises rather. There's definitely some moments that really I was like, I was not expecting them to go there, and they did. And but it was surprising. It really, really was. But those are things that I think just really made the movie just really, really well. I would say this too, and I think this is like, easy to assume, but you really do, I've heard people say you really feel Chadwick Boseman's absence is felt. You do feel that, in the same way though, you also feel his spirit is there. You feel like you know, his spirit is definitely there. You definitely feel that. But the absence, you can tell, like, just watching it, you feel like, man, yeah, you really kind of sense that he's not there. That being said, I do feel like what Ryan Coogler did with the script and what the actors and actresses did as far as the roles that they played and the acting that they did, you know, they did the very best with what they had, and they did an exceptional job at that. They really did. I would definitely say, as most Marvel movies go, you always expect a post-credit scene and a mid-credit scene. Okay, so there is no post-credit scene, meaning that after all the credits have finished, there's something at the very end. No, right as the movie, the main, you know, right as the movie is ending and they're showing the montage of artwork and stuff like that, that's the mid-credit scene. There is a mid-credit scene that you really need to see. It's a very important, inspiring part of the movie. And I would definitely go to say that this mid-credit scene is probably one of the best Marvel mid-credit scenes, or even a post-credit scene, that I've seen in a very, very long time. Because I think that part of the issue with Marvel is that they're so used to doing these post-credit scenes. Sometimes they just feel like, okay, was this really worth like sitting through? But this one was worth it. If you walk out and you don't stay for this mid-credit scene, you're really missing like something very important. So I would highly recommend sitting through this mid-credit scene. After that, you can go, because there's really not much else after that. And yeah. And as far as cameos go, the Marvel films in Phase 4 has done an exceptional job, or not an exceptional job, but they've been known to have cameos. There's 2 cameos in this movie. I'm not going to tell who they are. One is a smaller one, one is a big one. That's all I'm going to say. And I think that you will definitely appreciate the big cameo. You definitely will. I will say that I was hoping that there were a few more cameos, and I'm not going to get into why that is, because I feel like if I do, I'm getting into spoiler territory. But you know, the cameos that were there were great, but it didn't have to have like a whole bunch of extra cameos. That really wasn't necessary. I think the way overall, just wrapping this movie up, I'll say number one, you know, they did an exceptional job just really ending Marvel Phase 4, and also just handling the passing of Chadwick Boseman / King T'Challa. Exceptional on all fronts, exceptional acting. It's really hard for me to really critique this movie in a bad way at all. I can't really find anything from a plot point that was bad. You know, I do want to give Tenoch Huerta, who played Namor in this movie, I thought he did an exceptional job too. Yeah, let me just talk about him for a minute. I didn't want to end this video without talking about Namor. Okay, he is probably, in terms of villains go, I'm thinking in terms of villains, and I'm being very objective when I say this, I probably liked his, and he's not like a true like evil, you know, he has like motives or reasons for what he's wanting to do, why he is the way that he is. But I would definitely say Namor is probably one of the better villains we've seen in a while. Probably one of the best villains since Thanos. I thought that maybe the villain that was in Thor: Love and Thunder, and don't get me wrong, you know, he was done really well, but I just think this was done well. This villain, played by Tenoch Huerta, was done really, really well, and probably the best villain since Thanos. Definitely imposing. Dude is a beast, man. I mean, you know, and one final thing that I'll say about this movie that I just think is really, really well, I think Latino brothers and sisters that are watching this video, just like, you know, my African American brothers and sisters that's watching this to have pride. I believe that when you're watching this as a Latino watching this movie, you're going to be proud too. The heritage between the African American culture or the African culture and the Latino, Aztec, Mayan culture is very well represented and done very, very well. And I think there's no way that you would not come away feeling inspired. So that is going to wrap up my review of Marvel's Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the spoiler-free review. I may be doing a spoiler review maybe over the weekend, depending on how much time I have, because I got a lot of stuff going on. But I may try to do a video for that. So if you have seen this movie, I'd like to ask you not to post spoilers down in the comments, but tell me what was your overall thoughts and impressions of this movie down in the comments below. Just try to leave, if you can, please be respectful for people who have not seen the movie. Don't do any spoilers in this one. If you want to do spoilers in the one that I have coming up maybe over the weekend. So I'm going to wrap this video up. I hope you guys have an awesome day. On the way out, hit that like if you like this video, share this video, and if you can see this video, man, look, with everything going on in the world today, it is a lot going on. We need movies like this to really just take us out of like all this craziness is going on with just a whole bunch of stuff. But as I say in my videos though, to bring this home, if you can see this video, man, trust me, you are truly, truly blessed, especially with everything going on in this world. And my question that I always end with is, what are you gonna do in your downtime? Peace out, and Wakanda forever.
Subscribe!